if you're in the HVAC business, you need better information. Right now, you have customers who need your services, but you don't know about it. You have techs that don't know what's wrong with a certain troublesome unit. And you can fix this. So even if you stop watching right now, you should think about how you're going to get some better information into your business. So my name is Will, and I'm actually not an HVAC tech. I was trained as a scientist. And one thing that struck me is just how little data there is about these HVAC systems. And this matters a lot. So there was a study recently that found that HVAC techs waste 3 hours for every 1 hour of productive time that they have. And this isn't because they're lazy, right? I'm sure none of your techs are ever slacking off. It's mostly because they don't have good information about the unit they're trying to service. So whenever you're paying your tech, you're actually paying them 4 times that much per hour of productive work. And let's see why. A tech might go to a customer site and put their gauges on a unit to diagnose it. And these HVAC gauges actually give a really rich data set, right? They give you a lot of information. They just don't do it for that long. So 5 seconds is not a lot of data. But if you want even 5 seconds of data, I mean, it sounds kind of silly, but you have to stand there and look at the things for 5 seconds. So you put the gauges on, and you go 1, 2, 3, are we bored yet? 4, 5. And that feels like an eternity, right? And it turns out that to diagnose many of these problems, it takes more than 5 seconds or even 50 seconds. You might need 5 minutes, 5 hours, even 5 days of data. And I mean, clearly you can't have one of your techs standing there for that long looking at his gauges. So that's why we created this. This is called the Talos Guardian. And it's a small sensor board. You install it directly onto the HVAC. Right, there it is. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes. And its installation is quite simple. You take some of the included. We give you all this stuff. These current transformers, you just clip them on there. There's a handy breakout board. You just plug it right down on here. There's also a few temperature sensors that come with this. They install the same way. They just snap into place. So it takes about 15 minutes, and even that tech who maybe you don't trust them to do much more than change a filter, yeah, even he can put this stuff on. We've tried. Right, and this board is internet connected. Right, so that's important because then it automatically logs the data up to the cloud, and it's smart so that it will alert you when it picks up on a problem. So here's an example of this. You hook up your gauges, and you see that the difference between the suction and the liquid line is maybe 25 degrees. So what is that? That's 23.4 degrees. Okay, so remember, this is the difference, suction line, liquid line. Right, can you conclude anything about how this unit's working if I don't tell you anything else? Maybe you want to pause the video here and think about this problem. So this is a bit of a trick question because the answer is no. The unit might be functioning just fine, but if we have more data, right, we'll be able to see the problem right away. So can you spot the issue here? That's right. This unit is leaking refrigerant. The temperature difference is going to 0. Right? It starts out with when the unit comes on at a healthy, 30-ish. Remember, this is the difference between suction and liquid line. It starts out high, means the unit's pumping lots of heat, and it gradually decays to 0 over the length of this data set here. Now, the HVAC is now doing no work, but because the change is gradual over time, it would be hard to discover this just by looking at a small amount of data, right, which is what we saw on the previous screen. So, of course, there's some expensive data logging solutions that can give you this same information, and they're great tools. They're fantastic tools. Every tech should be able to use them. But those data loggers are only useful when they're on the unit, right? Talos is going to monitor your entire fleet 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't take a day off, and it's going to give you the best information possible. So with this example, we've really only scratched the surface about how to unlock the value of some of this data, right? So what if maybe you had a summary of all the alerts across every unit that you've ever serviced, right? Could you find your problems maybe even before your customers know what's going on and be able to diagnose them, right? Could you call your customers before the unit broke down and sell them service, maybe before it's an emergency. Right? What would that do for your business or your commission check? What if you could give all your techs this information? All the information about how the unit performed yesterday and the week before and the month before and the year before. I mean, would that make them more effective techs and therefore more efficient techs? So if you think so, I'd encourage you to get in touch with us. I'd love to learn more about how you run your business and some of the problems you might be seeing. And maybe this technology is a good fit for you. So my name is Will. I'm with Talos IoT, and that's how we fix your break fix.